For centuries, the vast ocean has never been a tranquil, vibrant, and romantic picture as often imagined through the lens of poetry or art. In reality, it is a wild, fierce,
on that line!
Watch out, the plank is shifting! Get the squid secured now!
and utterly brutal battlefield where humans and nature struggle day and night in an endless battle for survival and resource exploitation. Standing out against the backdrop of the deep turquoise sea, tinged with grey under thick, swirling clouds stretching to the endless horizon are the colossal steel commercial fishing vessels relentlessly cutting through the waves, with immense acceleration from their roaring diesel engines. The ferocious bows tear through the massive waves, creating swirling currents that drag the water backward, scattering thousands upon thousands of white, frothy bubbles that bubble and churn in the air before being propelled back down by gravity. Crashing against the violent sea on the chaotic, messy, and soaking deck lay a colossal mechanical structure with countless steel support columns, crisscrossing winch cables, and rusty wooden planks lined with netting, stretching out into the vast ocean to form enormous, precarious and impressive staircases. Amidst this heavy-duty industrial trap system, weathered fishermen, clad in gleaming rubber protective suits in the brightest and most vibrant colors neon orange, fiery red, blue, or green, a stark contrast to uncutting.
We did it! Woo! Look at this beauty!
Through the gloomy grey sky, struggled day and night against the brutal forces of nature. As the thick darkness completely engulfed the horizon, the high-powered industrial searchlights shone vertically, piercing the fragmented water's surface, transforming the ship into a dazzling, glittering fortress in the dark abyss. The old-fashioned, rusty metal winch system with its enormous flywheels began to rumble and spin, the entire scaffolding structure swaying loosely, twisting and groaning, transmitting violent vibrations along its hull. Centrifugal force and kinetic energy from the winch shaft-propelled thin, invisible nylon lines deep into the dark water, carrying opaque plastic lures with pointed neon pink or bright green tips attached to clusters of sharp, silver metal hooks that dangled like thorns, casting a tempting, deadly lure. The moment a giant squid in the deep sea bites the hook is when the dynamics explode most violently. The invisible line suddenly becomes taut like a guitar string, vibrating violently, its friction against the strong underwater current creating a dry, screeching sound that tears through the air. The fisherman had to tense all his muscles, arching his chest backward to form a counter curve, his boot-clad legs gripping the slippery, waterlogged deck to counteract the immense pulling force from the seabed. The violent, jerky pull tore.
They're here. Look over there.
Through the still water, creating a bubbling explosion of air bubbles, lifting a colossal, dark orange, belly-up, pale white mass into the air. The deep-sea monster, with its long, limp, swollen tentacles, thrashed and twisted helplessly, scattering droplets of water clinging to its elastic skin. As it was dragged along the tattered steel mesh deck, the violent lifting and pulling kinetic energy tore through the static resistance, causing the wet, elastic skin to slide and splash, leaving behind a muddy, foul-smelling battlefield. The ship's deck had transformed into a veritable slaughterhouse, a chaotic jumble of spoils from squid and cuttlefish to large sea fish lying haphazardly, crushed and piled on top of each other, filling the grooves of the blue-painted deck where puddles of grey water clung. The rocking.
Keep hauling, it's a big one. Almost got it over the edge. Watch the squid.
Motion of the sheep's hull bouncing through the waves caused this entire mass of mushy, loose flesh to vibrate and slide ever so slightly on the sticky, viscous surface, while the sea breeze whipped through, causing protective clothing and faded yellow nylon tarpaulins to flap. And flap incessantly. Immediately, the brutal processing began decisively, without a single superfluous movement. Hands clad in grey metal mesh gloves brutally scrubbed and rubbed against the resilient skin to strip away the slimy black membrane, while sharp blades tore. through the steel membrane, ripping open the pristine white flesh to expose its slimy biological structure. High-pressure water from long, rubber hoses lash directly against the glistening, shredded meat.
Kéo mạnh nữa đi. Giữ chắc vào. Sóng lớn quá.
Sweeping away the slimy, bloody mess that spread across the floor, carrying away the recently extinguished lives and leaving behind pristine white fillets. After initial processing, dozens of these enormous, mushy chunks of meat were then tossed and thrown with. Clattering sound into the dark, gaping pits, eagerly devouring the light. In the cramped, suffocating cold storage pit, filled with freezing mist, a world of jagged, sharp ice and snow unfolded. Fishermen, hunched over, wielded iron shovels, brutally churning through the glistening white snowdrifts, sending fragments of ice and snow flying and crashing down onto the rough floor, burying their spoils. A deep, icy chill permeates the air, freezing the passing stream and quickly.
Pull the slack now. Watch the hatch. Going down, keep it coming.
Draining away the last vestiges of warmth, the seeping water within the organisms crystallizes into a tightly adhering mass of ice, forming a rigid, fossil-like structure that gleams with a cold, sharp light under the flickering lamps. But the physical journey of these oceans creatures doesn't end there. They are then dragged into the cold, sterile machinery of industrial processing plants on shore or even on giant mother ships. Here, a sterile, stark white space is created with ceilings. Fitted with blindingly bright industrial fluorescent lights, leaving no shade, and walls clad in glossy plastic panels reflecting an emotionless light. Emerald green rubber conveyor belts and rumbling steel mesh systems roll along.
Dig in, man. We almost got it. One more push.
Sliding along the conveyor belt, experts gently slice through blocks of tender fillet meat, their hands clad in gleaming stainless steel. The workers, clad in flashing white medical uniforms, masks covering. Their faces, and wearing turquoise gloves, stand motionless like bio-robots on either side of the conveyor belt, their hands swiftly and precisely gripping and tossing the wet strips of meat with mechanical accuracy. The kinetic energy of the continuous tossing and tossing causes the plastic aprons to rustle and flutter, the blue light shining through the glass surface causing the meat to glow faintly and flicker with each movement.
Watch the net, the waves are getting higher. Keep the water running.
The lightning-fast, high-intensity pressing machine creates thousands of perfectly formed rings of squid, discarding the tiny, elastic, and perforated pieces of meat that are then set aside. The scattered pieces fall onto the tray. Finally, these finished products are neatly packed into bulky plastic bags, then subjected to a thermal sealing machine that gently heats and compresses them, the mechanical screeching sound echoing too. The end of a wild automated biological life cycle, permanently transforming them into inanimate, boxed commercial goods awaiting their arrival in the global market. The entire closed-loop process. From the moment of relaxation within the enclosed space of the factory is a brutal yet magnificent symphony of mechanics, physics, and dynamics, exposing the raw, unyielding energy and the absolute. Power of man to transform nature, while profoundly reflecting the ever-present smallness, loneliness, and danger of constantly resting on the stormy, dreamlike ocean.